Dhyan is not an easy process, and yet it's one of the easiest things to do. The reason it's not easy is because of the knots that we have tied at our mind level, at our ego level. As long as these knots remain tied up, Samadhi state is not possible. The knots are all about the sansar, our likes, our dislikes, superiority complex, inferiority complex, tendency to hold, acquire, possess, win the arguments, win the fights. All this put together comprises the ego. As long as the knots of the mind, meaning the ego, is there, Samadhi state is not possible. As a child, we all were innocent. We did not know the way of the sansar. But the tree of the ego was already brewing within us that we didn't know. And the seeds we were carrying from the lives before, these seeds were just ready to sprout as soon as the opportunity arises. And the sansar gives those opportunities. And our vrittis and vasanas manifest. As long as you remain tied up with his vrittis and vasanas, you are living in a sansar. Sansar is not just outside, it's within you also. Meditation is about dying of that ego. All your identifications at the ego level has to die. And this is one death you have to go through only once. And then you have spiritual bliss and immortality. But this death is not possible as long as your knots remain tied up. So we have to be aware where our knots are and what can we do to release these knots. Physically, you can die with the knots tied up. But spiritually, you have to clear out all the knots in your head before you can die spiritually and be reborn spiritually. Death only brings the death to the body. Vrittis and vasanas are your entanglements in the sansara. They will come with you in your next life, and you will not have rest until all these knots are untied and vrittis and vasanas and desires disappear. So, to practice meditation and keep these knots tied up is an oxymoron. As long as your ego is alive, Paramatma is not yours. To meet Paramatma, you have to go back to your original, true, basic nature, where no knots are acceptable. So analyze your life. Straighten out your act. If you have said something to someone and your ego is coming in the way, drop the ego, crush the ego, just apologize if that has caused any harm to someone. If you owe an apology, give an apology. Account closed. That account you don't have to think again. If you owe any money to anyone, cut down your expenses. Analyze your financial sheet and finish up the account. If all these times you have felt superior to your spouse, think again. Spend more time with your spouse and realize every person has something to offer to everyone. All the marriages happen for a reason. They happen because they bring in the marriage what you had been missing. It's a God's way of giving you the things that you were never exposed to. If you think you are superior to your spouse, sit down, analyze his or her qualities, and ingenuinely try to understand them. You will always find things which are good about your spouse. Just the capacity to earn the money is not the only way to compare the relationships. Openness, open-heartedness, innocence, capacity to have unconditional love, simplicity, whatever, social interactions, capacity. There are many ways of looking at a person. Find out the great qualities he or she might have and learn from it. Give the same importance as your qualities. And at that point, you will start feeling equal. The equality in marriage is extremely important. Feeling inferior is not good, and feeling superior is not good. So sit down, analyze, brood over it. Find out all the good qualities in them and merge. Once you can see your spouse at your level, then only a spiritual hug is possible. Hug your spouse at a spiritual level, as if there are no differences between you, nothing that will prevent you from merging with each other. If you're feeling inferior, find out your own good qualities and give importance to that. And whatever things you feel inferior about in the spouse, consider that as a positive attribute of that spouse that he or she brings in the marriage. So communion is possible between two souls if all your conditions drop, and then there is a chance unconditional love can follow. Among your friends, eliminate the differences. Find out the similarities. Find out the willingness to be together. Have fun in life. Start treating your employees fairly instead of taking advantage of them. You may have more than you need, but for them, every dollar they make is important. That is their need. So treating employees fairly, treating day-to-day people fairly, irrespective of their race, religion, color, sex, ideas. Treat them equally. All these things have to be done. Then only the chapter of ego can be closed. All these things does not happen overnight. So it has to go simultaneously along with the dhyan on a regular basis. Dhyan is being aware where your knots are and brood over it and realize your own mistakes. Close the chapters one by one and transcend the ego. Do not be hesitant to apologize for your mistakes if you have done some damage to others, and at the same time, if someone asks for forgiveness, if they have said something, you forgive with the big heart, not just because you want to look big, because you want to close that chapter, because our ultimate goal is to merge with the ocean of infinite consciousness. Incomplete businesses will remain like big boulders on the path of spiritual journey that will prevent you from merging with Paramatma. So all these things are necessary. If not overnight, by analyzing them, brooding over it, little by little, your behavior will change. Your marriage will become peaceful, because wherever there is equality, peace will always be there. Your friendships will become enjoyable. The atmosphere at your workplace will be nice, and you will be spreading your joy and happiness everywhere. Any kind of cunningness, any kind of desires to teach some people lessons, any kind of desires to take revenge, all are detrimental to your spiritual success. So hold on to your emotions. Do not create new accounts by speaking something that might open up a whole new account again, and you have to go through the sufferings, which I call sufferings. Most of the people don't. For them, that has become a way of life. Disturbed mind, talking loud, putting people down, this and that. For them, it's like everyday life. For this kind of people, samadhi is not possible. So close the present accounts wisely, without worrying about your ego, and do not open up new accounts by controlling your ego, because otherwise you are in an unending cycle of samsara from which we all want to get out. Have a good day.